Routing it down. Rerouting. Good. Now take the Skytram to the reactor complex. You can access the last two systems from there.
Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome to the final part of the Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil commentary. Yes, the first game, actually I'm pretty sure it'll probably be Shadow the Hedgehog, for the Skully Spookfest to come to its conclusion. Well, I mean, if this is gonna end up being 4 parts, then this will probably end directly after Shadow, in which case that'll only be level 2 with Claire scenario, I think, depending on how many parts I recorded in, because I will also probably need to end up getting around to Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memory shortly after that, so I've got a lot of work ahead of me, yes indeedy. But yes, presuming of course that this is the final part, well, basically we're going to be going through hell, quite literally in this case, and, well, basically stopping Bertruger once and for all. I will say, though, that in terms of, like, story content, I'm kinda surprised that this wasn't, like, the final part of Doom 3, as in, you know, the main story. I guess possibly id Software were pressed for time back in the day, but, who knows. I really need to look up Doom 3's development. I mean, I remember looking some of it up for the sake of, you know, as a bit of a talking point in the original commentary, but I don't think I really found anything that was that extensive. I think I might have to maybe do a little bit more research into maybe some, like, video interviews of the time, if I can find them. Again, I'm not really sure if I would be able to find them, or if it was, like, you know, like a DVD or something. Because, yeah, as I learned quite recently, 2004 was, like, fuck, I think it's nearly 15 years ago now. And that fucking terrifies me, because, like, I remember it clear as day, man. Aging is scary. Fucking hell, you better get out of there, Anthony Hopkins, otherwise you will die. You know, I mean, I think I might have said beforehand that the artifact isn't exactly useful, but, oh boy, well, let's save your ass now, because ever since you killed the lightning demon, I forgot its name. I know they do have different names, like one of them was called, like, the Brute, or something or other, which is the one, you know, that exposes its chest, which you could shoot to kill. I can't remember what the lightning one is called, but it grants you invincibility, and, yeah, while you don't exactly get as much use of it as you would like to with the, you know, 3-charge use, yeah, it can save your ass in situations like this. And thankfully they have plenty of bodies around for you to absorb their souls. Yes, feed me! Unfortunately though, unlike the Soul Cube, it doesn't really heal you up, so, play at your own risk. But now especially, we'll be seeing things get a little bit ambient around here. Well, I mean, just as soon as we start switching off the power in terms of auxiliary and life support systems, which, well, as we're soon going to learn, yeah, we're making the ultimate sacrifice here. Both Dr. McNeil and Anthony Hopkins. This is going to be a very lengthy part with a lot of gameplay, with some segments that I do believe aren't exactly redundant, because from a gameplay standpoint you are getting your intense fix of the combat mix, so to speak, so you are going to be, you know, very heavily involved in terms of gameplay, but I think in terms of commentary and seeing somebody discuss the game, yeah, I might get a little bit long-winded, and I may fall victim to my insanity, which has been happening, as you can no doubt tell by my psychological hallucination of that Italian mafia guy. He might still be around here, I don't even know anymore. Maybe the entire mafia is watching me. Maybe all the demons are watching me. Or possibly by that computer glitch you heard in part 1. Was it a demon, or was it just an error? Who knows? Maybe I'm not even real, because I died over 4 years ago, in 2014. And the skull you've been watching this whole time has been nothing but a sentient program. Or maybe I'm just caving into existential panic, who knows? Anyway, we take another ride on the monorail. What was that name? Monorail. One more time. Monorail. Mono-do. 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 Forget it. We're gonna be moving on. Now, enjoy another tour throughout the UAC facility. Strap yourselves in, please put away all weapons, even though there are demons running around. Now, as you can see, the caverns were built on the cheap. This was because Professor... was he a professor or was it a doctor? I can't remember. Whatever. In terms of connecting the law, Samuel Hayden hated Bertruger and stole his money. I don't know. Again, I think kind of to go back to my original point about the whole theory connecting all the Doom games together, I think some people tried to argue that, like, the Doom 3 facility was, like, meant to be one that had a lot less budget than what Samuel Hayden has, because, I mean, Doom 2016 had a much more futuristic-looking, like, sort of modern sci-fi sort of vibe, you know, where everything sort of looked very, slick, for the lack of a better phrase, whereas Bertruger's here looks very, you know, alien, like, in terms of everything's very run down, very lived in. I don't know. But, yeah, I guess... I mean, I'm not really against any sort of theorizing or anything like that, but I mean, it does kind of come off as a little bit of a stretch, since, you know, all the Doom games have kind of started off with the same sort of premise of demons invading Earth/Mars, and Doom Guy has to go stop it, whether it's a hapless soldier or, like, a legendary slayer transcending through time. Not to mention, the whole Doomslayer theory kind of falls on its head in this case, because, well, you know, since the Doomslayer is meant to be passed down through time from, like, Doom 1, 2, and 64, then to 2016, what exactly the Doom 3 Doom Guy is, like, a sort of random Marine who just so happened to survive, which I guess you could interpret, considering that he has a different face to, you know, what was meant to be the other Doom Guy. But I mean, even in that case, the Doom Guy of the original Doom was meant to be descended from, you know, the protagonist of... And again, I tried to pronounce his name, but I completely fuck it up. But it was meant to be part of the same family line as, you know, Commander Keen and, BJ from, you know, Wolfenstein. So, I mean, well, that was mostly according to John Romero, though, so I'm not really sure if that really counts anymore, but fuck it, I'll take it. But yeah, weird theory. Doesn't entirely hold up, but you know what? I'll allow it. I'm going to allow this. And yes, now we... That's the Doom Guy way to solve problems. Shoot the computer console and hope it does something. But yeah, this is where the Caco demons make their appearance, and they are, well, about as effective as they were before. Nothing too bad, really. Just fly around, shoot them, and you can shoot those damn projectiles out of the air! See? It's easy! Gotta be honest, I always kind of found the Caco demons to be a little bit weird in the, like, Doom 3. Just in terms of the way that they just sort of float around and they can be taken out with relative ease. I mean, I like their designs the best, actually, out of all the incarnations, but... what are you gonna do? But anyway, what we're going to be doing here is shutting off the power and, I think, eventually the life support systems. Not necessarily in that order, but you know how it is. Oh dear, gotta descend into the depths of darkness. So then, with this long stretch of absolutely nothing going on, without any sort of tangents to speak of, I'm gonna cover a few things about the ending, since we are on this tangent about theories and everything. Now, the ending itself isn't really anything to write home about. I mean, spoiler alert, Anthony Hopkins defeats, you know, the Mailer-Dick / Dr. Bertruger, and he hears Dr. McNeil's voice going, Marine, welcome home. Oh, something to that effect. You'll hear it when we actually get to the scene, but yeah, that's it, cut to ending credits. In fact, it's not even, you don't even see him return, it's just a black screen with, you know, McNeil's voice, you know, calling for Anthony Hopkins to come home. Now, this is a little bit of a stretched interpretation, and the general accepted ending is that, you know, the Marine and Dr. McNeil made it, you know, back on Mars, back to Earth, and, you know, everything goes on as normal, and it's just at the point before, you know, the Marine opens his eyes and, you know, finds himself in a hospital bed, presumably. And this is the generally accepted ending, and the one I kind of go with, because, well, I mean, it's the one that makes the most sense. But there are two other theories that, you know, while not exactly solid in their own right, they're ones that I do find quite interesting. The first of which is the Heaven theory, which is that Dr. McNeil and, you know, Doom Guy ended up dying, since, because of what we're having to do right now, as in, you know, turn off the auxiliary power and the life support systems, that because of the fact that they were turned off in the base to, you know, power up the teleporter so we can actually get to hell in the first place, yeah, the Marine ends up dying of his injuries, which, you know, you do actually see in a cutscene, and, because McNeil has no life support system, she suffocates to death. So, yeah, basically what that's meant to imply is that the black screen with Dr. McNeil's voice is saying that, yeah, they died and, well, it's not generally known what happened to them. I think it's generally accepted that they either went to heaven, you know, because of the fact that they did kind of kill demons, and if God isn't going to get off his lazy ass and help us out here, then, you know what, fuck it, he might as well give us entrance into heaven so we can kick back and, well, do whatever the hell we do in heaven. So, you know, that'd be nice. Nice little reward. Even though I'm pretty sure that what you basically do up in heaven is basically just sit there and praise how amazing God is. I'm paraphrasing, and I've only really read that passage of the Bible like once. I think it was the Old Testament as well. So, yeah, it doesn't really sound like a very rewarding place. Although, I mean, it would probably beat the hell out of being stabbed with burning pitchforks and drinking naught but burning hot cola, as Reverend Lovejoy had so often informed us. I don't know. In terms of a theory overall, though, like, I mean, it sounds reasonable, I guess, because, I mean, there is evidence to back it up, so if you want to go with that one, yeah, let's go.
I've rerouted power from the 3 systems you've already brought offline, but it still isn't enough. You'll have to shut down the life support systems for this base. You can't think twice about this. It's more important than any of us. I'll contact you again once the teleporter grid is online.
Now we have our armor, and now we must kill Dr. McNeil. So yeah, that was a heaven theory, but now there is also a darker and more evil theory. And now the environment is a lot darker because we switched the power off! Oh dear. Now, in terms of the darker theory, although I'm not really sure if I should say now, I'll save it for a time when there's more boring things to be going, but fuck it, let's go. Again, I'm not really sure what to say about this, because, I mean, this is just something I think was initially meant to be released at the time, you know, before Doom 4, and, you know, by that I mean the original Doom 4, the one that was slated to be more of a Call of Duty style game, came out, so, again, this is the darker ending to take with a bit of a grain of salt, but yeah, what this ending is meant to imply is that McNeil was actually working for Bertruger the whole time, acting as a failsafe assuming his original plans fell through. Now, this is one that doesn't really have a lot of evidence corroborating it, considering that, you know, McNeil wanted the artifact to be destroyed, as she says as much during the game. Although, then again, I suppose it could possibly be implied that she was lying just so that, you know, so that she could get the artifact back into hell with Bertruger, so then he could activate it and have a one-way portal to Earth. You know, all that good stuff where demons invade, rape, pillage, do all that good stuff that young demons should do in their prime. Actually, that's not very good stuff, so, yeah, don't do that, demons. You gotta be nice and friendly. But anyway, in terms of what McNeil wanted to do, because she was transferred off the base, you know, shortly before the events of the game began, you know, because her report sent, you know, Councillor Swan and Campbell over towards Mars, yeah, she actively planned for his death so that this would pressure the UAC to send reinforcements from Earth, and then the demons could invade, which, you know, is something that Sergeant Kelly wanted to do, so it's possible that Kelly was corrupted by, you know, Dr. McNeil, considering that she did have an active position high within the UAC's personnel files, and on top of that, you know, she could have corrupted him and turned him into a, or maybe not necessarily her, to corrupt him into the Sabbath, I apologize if I'm butchering that, but, you know, at the very least put plans into motion and, you know, kind of give credence to Kelly's line of, "You were always meant to die, Marine." Although, then again, I'm beginning to guess that McNeil probably didn't plan for, you know, Doomguy to be as successful as he did in stopping it, which I suppose was part of the reason why Bertruger needed her as a failsafe, so that's actually rather interesting when they put it that way. Biggest problem is that, again, as I mentioned before, there's not really a lot of evidence really supporting that, or at the very least, not a lot of stuff in the gameplay or story that indicates that it was planned in any way, like, I mean, not even any sort of audio logs or, you know, email messages. But I mean, that being said, there's also well, there is one little thing in gameplay and story, actually, that, well, not necessarily story, but in gameplay, definitely, that does kind of showcase this. And that is, you know, a fact that I mentioned earlier about how the Marine is being corrupted by the artifact. In the sense that, you know, when you use the artifact, you can see his hands being, you know, corrupted, which, you know, adds to the implication that she was going to turn, you know, Anthony Hopkins' Doomguy that we're controlling right now, into her champion of hell. Oh, is that what I've written down here? Or at least Hell's Champion akin to what the Cyber Demon was. So, yeah, Anthony Hopkins' Doom guy is a pawn. That's a bit of a spicy meatball, if I do say so myself.
Once you shut down life support, you'll have a limited amount of time to bring the teleporter online and transfer the Delta. We're on the right path. I'm more certain than ever that Bertruger is somehow behind this. He's reaching out from the grave in one last desperate grasp of power. We need to end this.
Actually, incidentally, that line could also probably be an explanation as to why she's so okay with sacrificing her life. Because I'm pretty sure most people, especially if they're, you know, neurotic scientists, would probably be a little bit more cowardly in the face of death. Well, I mean, not always, but I mean, 9 times out of 10, you'd think that she would have a little bit more reservations about sacrificing her life, but then again, considering that the dark ending already has to, you know, stretch your interpretation of the game's plot and kind of rearrange certain elements to really fit into where it is, yeah, it's a little bit shaky, but it's not impossible, which is what I do like about the darker ending, because it shows that there is a lot more going on in the story than we know, or are even led to believe. And, you know, in that sense, I can appreciate it, because there's a lot more to see and explore, which, you know, is part of the thing that made Doom 3 really fun for me, you know, exploring these little little facets of what made the plot as interesting as it was in terms of not only just mythology, but also how things came together. It's something that I actually brought up in my Silent Hill 1 review, in the sense that, you know, each and every little log entry builds up the core story. It doesn't necessarily make it required reading, which is the most important thing with these sorts of games, but instead it's a little something that makes Pinky chase after you, because it too is interested in the knowledge of what's going on around here, and, you know, it enhances your enjoyment of the story if you're really interested in the, you know, the plotline or the background mechanics of how everything's, you know, coming along. And I suppose that's part of the things that I'm also hoping for Doom Eternal. Like, I mean, they did say that they were going to have a little bit more of a focus on the mythology, which is good, and I do hope they kind of implement a similar system to Doom 3, because, I mean, Doom 2016 did also have the PDAs, but they weren't as extensive as what they were, or at least I didn't find them quite as interesting, because it was a little bit too focused on the business side of things, in terms of what, you know, Samuel Hayden and Olivia Pierce were doing up on the base there. Whereas with Doom 3, it was given a lot more mystery, but at the same time it was more along the lines of, you know, we were finding out about as much as, you know, the archaeologists and researchers were finding out. Which made it interesting to dig deeper to the truth and truly find out how Hell really came to affect the ancient Martian civilization, and, you know, how that ultimately ties in with us today. And I guess, ultimately, this is really what makes Doom 3 an incredibly fun game to me. You know, not only for the first-person shooter stuff, but just for the fact that it's so mysterious, and I love it. And it kind of saddens me that no other game has really been able to capture that sort of vibe. I mean, the only games that have really come close is, like, Fear, which, you know, according to For3, went into more of a co-op thing. I guess Dead Space, but that's really only in terms of, like, you know, architecture, which is, well, at the very least for the first game anyway, it was similar to Doom 3. And even then, I didn't really get into Dead Space as much as I thought I would have, which is a little bit sad, because, I mean, I do think Dead Space is a pretty awesome game, but, sadly, it was not meant to be.
Marine, come in. Marine, McNeil to Marine. Marine, I've just started picking up massive power and energy fluctuations in Delta. I've never seen these types of fluctuations before. This can't be right. It's almost like the entire complex is phasing in and out of some kind of electrical exchanger.
Damn, looks like we're cut off. We're gonna have to re-establish communication at the communications network. Roger that, 10-4. Bibbidi-boppity-boop. Fuck it, I don't really know military code talk. But, yeah. Things are about to get a little bit screwy around here. Excuse me. I just finished a delicious meal, and I'm feeling hungry again, for some reason. But yeah, this is where the base starts to get a little bit, hellish, for the lack of a better term, and I really do like what you're about to be seeing. Not necessarily here, but as we go on a little bit further, because you will be seeing some corruption on a scale not seen since the prime of Metroid 3. Corruption. I really hope to God that was a game subtitle. Whatever. Yeah, this is basically Honestly, a much nicer transition into Hell that I kind of wish the main game did, but yeah, you'll slowly see the base kind of fall apart a little bit more as it succumbs to Hell. It might not be noticeable now, but you will see soon, and see you will as you are dragged into Hell. I honestly wonder what they were saying. It might be like Sanskrit or something, or it might be just a fake sentence of words that they just scrapped together because fuck it, demonic sounding. Ooh. But it'd be interesting if they made some demon sounds, like whoa. But yes, you are nothing before me and my ancient artifact that'll corrupt me into becoming McNeil's champion of hell. I'm guessing, like, before, possibly. I mean, I'm guessing if Doom 4 was meant to be, you know, a legitimate Doom 4, it's possible that it could have been continuing from Doom 3, and in that case, you know, if the darker ending theory was in fact true, and McNeil was corrupting, you know, Anthony Hopkins' Doom guy to be Hell's champion, this possibly could have made her the final boss for the sequel. Which, you know, would have been interesting, actually. I mean, they probably might not have gone in the horror direction, but I mean, in terms of being a little bit more action-packed, I mean, in more of a Call of Duty sense, which probably would have pissed a lot of fans off, but I don't know, I thought it could have been interesting. I guess I'll probably talk a little bit more about, you know, Doom 4 whenever I get around to covering Doom 2016 as, like, you know, the scrap concept, because there are a few... I don't know if there's any gameplay footage, I'll have to double check, but I mean, there is, like, screenshots of what Doom 4 initially looked like, which, gotta be honest, it didn't really look that bad, you know? But that's a topic for another day, I suppose. In the meantime, we have more shootouts to get into, and this is pretty much what the rest of this UAC section is, shootouts. Well, I mean, that and, you know, a couple of demons in hell, but that's to be expected. Oh shit, the Archvile. And yeah, if you'll know from the previous spots, Archviles equal ouchie, so stay the fuck out of their way. Even if they're not as dangerous as they were in Doom 2, that's no excuse to be careless around them, so make sure they die nicely. Jesus Christ, these sound effects sound even scarier in slow-mo. Well, I mean, on the plus side, at least you can get the drop on enemies. Oh my god, it's a Xenohort. Just take that. Well, I kind of wish they did a little bit more in terms of, like, the computer voice getting screwy and demonic. I don't necessarily mean in the same sense of, like, you know, the computer's breaking down, it's not speaking correctly. Like, they have something, I guess maybe similar to, like, the Scarecrow hallucination sections from, like, the Batman Arkham series. Like, you know, where you'll have bits and pieces of the level just kind of trip you out psychologically. You know, like when you have Barbara Gordon going, "Please hang up your phone." I don't know, I guess maybe people would have seen it coming in a game like Doom, since it is, you know, partially horror-based, or at least even for the classic games. I don't know. I mean, it could have been fun to have the computer have this whole trip-out sequence of, like, did anybody catch the game last night? And then you trip out, and then Doom Guy dies, and then he's, you know, eaten by demons, and, you know, then he glitches out, and then it turns out that Bertruger was the hero all along, and then... Sorry, I appear to have lost my mind. Lost any tangents, lost any semblance of sapient thought. And, yeah, plenty of demons to kill and attack. Is that a Mancubus or a Hell Knight? I can't even tell anymore. No, wait, that's a TV face, which... Seriously, man, it reminds me of the fucking, like, enemies from Gex 2, like, the TV-looking lizards. God, it's freaking me out, man. What if Rez was behind this all along? That'd be the crossover I wanted to see. Square Enix and fucking id Software present Gex 4 versus Doom. But the teleporter's out of power! We gots to juice it up! But first, we gotta feed our little, artifact. Now then, Anthony Hopkins, sir, respected actor as you are, activate the teleport matrix to the, you know, the gentleman's club. We gotta meet up with the Don to talk about some business, you know?
But first, you gotta make sure you don't get any demons in your teleporter. Like, I mean, just last week, I had a demon in my teleporter, and it was no joke to get out of the system. Had to get a rag, had to clean out the ion inductors. Of course, that's to make sure that the fusion matrix generator didn't cause a temporal disturbance. Let me tell you, Louis the Loose Lips Leguizamo almost caused a whole demonic entity to get out of that thing. The boss wouldn't let him hear anything about it for a week.
Jesus Christ, what is happening to me? Yes, those screams. They make me feel like how I feel. Oh. Oh God. Bernie, stop it. There's nothing we can do for you. The game didn't give us any fire extinguisher weapons. Kinda surprised it didn't actually give you that though. Like, I think I was talking beforehand about, like, you know, unconventional weapons, and a fire extinguisher should have been one of them, you know? Just shove it down a demon's throat, make them choke on the fluid stuff. Take this? I don't know, I thought it could have been cool. Actually, you know what, that would have been a very useful, like, sort of counterattack you could have used with the Archvile. Get a fire extinguisher, shoots out that jet of flames. There. Yeah, that'll show you to do massive damage. Or better yet, the Archvile's weakness is in fact fire extinguishers. If only. Yeah, basically what we're going to be doing now is basically find the teleport thing. Which is basically like a little orb of, like, energy, which basically sends you deeper and deeper into hell. And, a little bit of Doom 3 trivia, actually, for this point of Resurrection of Evil, is that, I can't really confirm this for myself, because I haven't played the original expansion pack, so, yeah, apparently, and this is just based on research, mind you, so if anybody has played the original expansion pack, please feel free to tell me, because I'd be very interested to learn more about, changes compared to the original to, you know, the expansion pack, but... yeah, there was meant to be a bit more of like a trippy effect sort of transition between, you know, as the base descends further into hell. Again, I can't really say that for certain, I don't really know what or how exactly it is, but yeah, some effects were removed, and that's, depressing, and oh my god, they're naked! Yeah, because that's what I wanted to see in, you know, Doom 3, red hot naked zombie action. Oh god, and I'm also going to be playing Resident Evil 2, which, yeah, if you'll know at the end of that game, there's a little bit of a red-hot naked zombie action in that game as well. Thankfully in the remake though, there is no red-hot naked zombie action, and Mr. X thankfully keeps his pants on, which I'm very, very thankful for. Well, except I'm not playing the remake, I'm playing the original, which, you know, Mr. X, after he gets to a certain level of damage, yes, he indeed struts around with no regard for his non-existent penis flopping around. God, that's something I never thought I'd say. Whoa! What the fuck? Well, I mean, he does have a jetpack, but Jesus Christ, like... ugh. Freaky, man. But yeah, that was the bridge that, Bertruger destroyed, and that was the other part of the base, so... I mean, what we're trying to do is that we're basically trying to get to the, you know, the big fuck-off teleporter that we, used at the end of, you know, the main story of Doom 3. But we basically have to go back to all these familiar areas from, you know, the main story as well, so it's a... bit of a nostalgia trip, except everything is a lot more hellish looking and dilapidated. Ouch. You shot a rocket up my ass! Sir Anthony Hopkins will not stand for this. You do not disrespect such a classic actor, who was recruited by the UAC after being frozen in time for several years and de-aged after a little bit, to partake in his role as Doomguy, no doubt having experience with hell for his role in Quietness of the Sheep. But yeah, this also does give you a chance to gather up plenty of health for the oncoming battle in Hell, because, yeah, especially on some of the harder difficulties, that is a bit of a pain in the ass. Oh, and the communications place has been blown up. I remember that place. Sergeant Kelly was all like, dude, answer the phone and call for reinforcements. I ain't evil, I swear. Holy fuck, the Archvile is fucking badass, dude. It can tank like 2 shotgun hits from the super shotgun. And now we gotta take care of... Please tell me that isn't... Oh, I thought it was an Archvile for a second, but no, it was just a lowly remnant. Forgive me, old friend. I actually really like the sounds that the naked zombies actually make here. It reminds me a lot of Donkey Kong Country, actually, with some of the sounds that the larger enemies make with the "oh." Now, I think these aren't the trites like the ones in the regular story were. I think this variant is meant to be called like the ticks. I think, or maybe that was exclusive to the Lost Mission. I can't quite remember. Jesus. Oh, lost souls, you are nothing to me. Just like that little lamp fixture that was swaying for no reason in a very predictable arc. You done, demons? You can't stop Anthony Hopkins. Down we go. Now let's go forward here, and we should be... I know I mentioned this before, but you really do have to wonder if the demons, like, get a clue in their heads, what they're thinking, how they operate. I mean, I guess they're animalistic, considering the fact that they don't speak or do really anything else other than attack, or if they function as a sort of hive mind sort of consciousness. Because, I mean, you would have thought that at this point they would have taken one look at, you know, Mr. Anthony Hopkins here and gone, you know what, I'm not gonna bother messing with him today, I'm just gonna kick back in hell, you know, jam out to some Slayer, and, well, you know, play things as they come. Bertruger can't do anything to me, I mean, I'm just a lowly imp who could just replace me with anybody else, so might as well not even waste the effort. So me, being, you know, a demon, just gonna kick back today. And now, yeah, we've, seen some changes. See, look at this! This is fucking beautiful! This is the sort of hell that I wanted to see in, you know, modern spiffy HDified graphics, because, again, not only does it take a little bit of influence from, you know, classic Doom's hell, but it has this really weird dimensional warping vortex sort of thing to it, which I can't help but love, because, God, it just looks so twisted and demented, man. And that's something I honestly did miss a lot from, you know, Doom 2016, because, I mean, it did capture the, you know, look of hell, you know, fire, brimstone, and that sort of smoky look that it had to it. But at the same time, though, Doom 3, I think, really captured the ambience, and really... Again, this is honestly what I think of when I think of hell. Well, except with, you know, a little bit more terrible things, like bad video games and, I don't know, stuff. Whatever. I will, rescind my joke. 'Cause it ain't very funny, you see. Well, maybe this was the plan of hell all along, to corrupt me into becoming an Italian mafia person, dude. What's it turning me into? Dude, you gotta stop. The voices in his head, they ain't right. They're corrupting his mind. I gotta do something before hell takes him over completely. So I guess in the meantime, I'm taking over this here Doom 3 commentary. This is Joey the JoJo, actually, I don't even got a gangster name yet. So I gotta earn it by doing this Doom 3 commentary. So, you got these, little here xenomorphs. I don't know what the fuck they're called. I don't play video games. But, yeah. You see this little operating table? Reminds me of the time I took, you know, little two-legs, Dooley over to the little back shed over there. Cut his legs open, showed him not to steal any more drug money from the Don, you know? Guy's gotta have his priorities. Also, I, think he was fooling around with his mistress, too. Needless to say, I made sure that his, third leg didn't hurt anybody no more. Yeah. Let him see him use that ever again. Jeez, is this video game still going on? Who cares? Everybody probably is only waiting for Shadow the Hedgehog. And, I don't even play those little, Sonic games, you hear? So, this little bruiser over there reminds me of, you know, Big Boy Bruiser, you know? He had the muscle, he protected the Don when he was at that club, you know, he was partying down with the dubstep music and the sexy girls with their boobs hanging out and the, you know, really good stuff. I feel... brain... demons... What am I? Who am I? I'm... unimportant. No. I'm regaining control. See what I mean? These noises remind me a lot of Donkey Kong Country. Or, well, demonic Donkey Kong Country. Oh shit, it's time for a creepypasta. So there I was playing Donkey Kong 64, and then a demon came out and ate my penis. It was very sad, because I was like, bang bang, pull my dick. By the way, can I just say, like, as a bit of an aside note, I really don't like the Pull My Bertruger song from DMC5. Like, I mean, people complain about fucking Noisier and Combi Christ from, you know, DMC Devil May Cry, but I mean, that's literally the exact style of music that was in, you know, the reboot, and people embrace that with open arms, and look, I mean, I'll admit, I cannot fucking stand Suicide Silence in the least, but I mean, Subhuman was far better than fucking that. Jesus Christ. Anyway, if you remember this place, this is where we discovered the, you know, the room which scanned the Soul Cube. And also the, 666 locker cabinet, which, held a demon inside. Gotta wonder, what the hell was he doing in there anyway? Was he trapped in there? Did the demons play a prank on him and he was very sad and lonely and took his frustration out on Doomguy? I'm sure he could have been a good friend. Maybe if Doomguy was all like, hey, buddy, there's no need to be so sad. I mean, we could just, you know, have a little lunch, you know, we could possibly bond over some video games, or, you know, rockin' music, you know, we could totally hang out. You know, and then the imp would be like, sniff, sniff, do you think so? Do you think we could make it, you and I? I, as a lowly imp and a servant of hell, and you, the guy of doom, destroying everything. Well, sure. With you and me, we can make the most badass detective duo in history. And so they leave Mars and start a detective agency here on the futuristic Earth. Doomguy and Imp, cyber detectives in the year 2145. It's a new world with a brand new attitude. Get ready to rock, baby. What is happening to me? I told you the commentary is making me lose my mind. But not to worry. I already know what's happening. See? I'm already falling. My fall will now be complete. Because now I know that I am in hell. So yeah, now things get visually interesting. But first we gotta feed the artifact, because it's very hungry after this long trip here. I will leave you there. I'm guessing this is possibly the scientist team that was killed earlier on. I mean, you'd have to wonder, or possibly left there from Bertruger's initial, like, visit to hell? I don't know, man. I have no idea why the hell anybody would want to go into this place a second time, unless, of course, they already knew about McNeil's plan and, I guess, possibly tried to stop it if the darker theory ending is anything to go by. I don't know. But anyway, we must progress through the hellish landscape. Excuse me for a second, I need to get a water. Okay, and I'm back, and yeah, that did absolutely fucking nothing for my throat. But whatever, my fall to madness is now complete, and we will now continue to eat more souls who happen to be down here for some reason. Whatever. I will say, though, that I think the hell imagery gets a lot more mileage here than it ever did in the main game story. Because, like, I mean, you really got to appreciate the design here. Like, you see souls, you know, presumably tortured souls that have been here for eternal suffering. You can see demons parading about the place, desperate to stop, you know, Anthony Hopkins from succeeding in his mission. Again, it's all pretty great stuff. I don't know, man. I'm guessing that Doom Eternal's probably not going to do this, but I mean, if there is ever, like, a future Doom game, I really do hope they take more inspiration from, you know, things like this. Because this is trippy as hell and scary as fuck, dude. Well, I mean, not necessarily this part, but I mean, just in general. Like, I mean, you've already seen the examples that I pointed out. But now it really is just the gauntlet. Murder your way through. I really do think that, you know, while I do appreciate Doom 3 for its atmospheric ambience, I do also think that in some instances there maybe should have been, you know, some heavy metal blasting, like when you're going through a gauntlet like this. You know, just to really show that, okay, we're fighting back and we're ready to take back hell from the demons. I don't know, man, I mean, like, I thought that would have been pretty sick. Like, I mean, not to mention, I guess maybe if, like, the deal with Trent Reznor ended up going through, they possibly could have had, maybe not necessarily the song that had the end credits of the Doom the movie, but possibly, like, a track that was originally recorded for the game. I mean, if not him, then I think, you know, Mike Patton as well. I'm pretty sure he was meant to be a noted fan of video games, so you could have possibly had, you know, Faith No More or Mike Patton himself just record a solo track. Because, I mean, what else was Mike Patton in? Wasn't he in the Bionic Commando remake? You know, I think he probably would have been more than happy to do it. I guess possibly this might have ended up costing id Software a little bit more than what they were willing to pay, because as I recall in the original commentary, I pointed out that, you know, Trent Reznor had his money in Rockstar dollars, which I can imagine was very expensive, and keep in mind though, like, I mean, I don't necessarily know where id Software stood, like, back in the 2000s. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure now that they're Bethesda's golden goose, well, relatively speaking anyway, they probably couldn't afford it as much as they could now, but yeah, video games were a very, very weird place. Like, I mean, you had the occasional thing where you had, like, you know, Twisted Sister's Dee Snider voicing Gol Acheron and Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy. But, I mean, at the same time, though, you also had video games being relatively niche towards, you know, kids and teenagers, so the fact that you had star power at all was, like, relatively rare, and even in that case, like, when things didn't end up panning out as well as people hoped, like in the case of, you know, the 1998 video game Apocalypse, which went through a hellish development cycle where they had Bruce Willis, the game ended up falling through for one reason or another, and basically it ended up shifting development to Neversoft, and they had to cut a majority of Bruce Willis's original role out of the game's plot and basically, well, make him the playable character. Kinda goes to show how much, you know, having star power can really screw with things. Which I guess, as we might as well go off in the already off-topic topic, was also part of the reason why I was also a little bit skeptical about the, like, Silent Hill 9 thing, you know, with Norman Reedus and Guillermo del Toro and everything. Like, I mean, ignoring the whole Konami controversy that kind of spawned from that, which kind of overshadowed the game itself. Yeah, I can kind of see why. I don't want to say I'm supporting Konami in this, but I can kind of see why they wanted to cut off Kojima where they could, because, well, yeah, I can't imagine Guillermo del Toro and Norman Reedus would be very, cheap, so to speak, regardless of the goodwill that Kojima has. But, I mean, even in that case, like, I mean, you know, whatever, I'm not making sense right now, but I mean, even in that case, I suppose it really is something different to say, like, you know, having a composer like, you know, Gregory, I forgot the guy who composed Metal Gear Solid 2, it was like Gregory Williamson, I can't quite remember his name, I think it might have been Harry, but could be wrong on that. I guess maybe someone like Trent Reznor is probably on a different level to, say, like a famous Hollywood composer, for example. Like, maybe not necessarily John Williams level, but like, you know, Graham Revel or like, you know, Brian Tyler or something like that. Yeah, completely different world, I guess. But anyway, I've waffled on for long enough about random tangent after random tangent, and now, it's about time we finish this. We're taking the fight right to Dr. Bertruger and his male addict. More like male addict. Oh! 420. Smoke weed every day. Anyway, I'm gonna take a very much longer drink of water, and you dudes and dudettes can enjoy the cutscene, where we will finally take down Dr. Bertruger once and for all. Enjoy, kiddies.
What did you hope to accomplish by coming here, mortal hate? You have something that belongs to me, and I want it.
Ah, seamless. Now, Bertruger is actually probably the simplest boss fight you'll have in Resurrection of Evil. I mean, he'll shoot down fireballs and have a whole bunch of different attacks, which do hurt, so be on your guard. But basically, use the artifact to slow him down and, well, go to town on him. There is one thing that I will warn you about, and something that did happen, because, yeah, I didn't die at all during this entire session. No siree. Yes, I indeed didn't die. Everything is seamless and perfect. But yeah, you can fall off a stage, so, don't do that and don't be a dumbass, and, you can also fall into the center pit over there, so if you do that, well, you're an idiot. But don't feel too bad about that, because I too am an idiot, because I have a tendency of doing that, because I'm so focused on the boss fight that I don't know where the edges are, and, I fall off and die, which is kind of the bane of playing this in first person, because you can't really see where the ground is, because, you know, you're looking at the dragon, which, I mean, it is admittedly realistic, because, you know, looking at things from a first-person angle, you wouldn't really be able to see that as easily as anything else. It's just more so the fact that Bertruger is, well, up in the air for the most part, which, again, he's the Melodic, so, okay, that makes sense, but at the same time, though, you know, would it have killed you to put up, like, a little barrier, or, like, maybe an invisible wall or something? I mean, I sincerely doubt that the player is going to be thinking, Bertruger, commit suicide. But yeah, he flies around a lot, and even if you do run out of, like, you know, artifact charges, he does have moments where he sits still like that, and he, you know, can give you a chance to hit him. And at the same time, there is also, you know, the artifacts, recharge thing, you know, we can get different dead bodies and kill them. Stuff like that really does help make this boss fight intense, but at the same time not impossible if you have, you know, the willingness to stick with it. And really, this boss fight should have been right at the end of Doom 3, like, after you fought the Cyber Demon. Like, I mean, maybe after a bit of a health and ammo restore, but I mean, this really should have been included in the main story. Well, I guess maybe that, or possibly having, like, I guess maybe a second scenario included in the game to begin with, like, kind of like Silent Hill 2. I don't know. I guess maybe they didn't think of it at the time, so that's why they made an expansion pack, but whatever.
Marine? Marine, welcome home.
And that, my friends, was Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil. Holy fuck, this was probably the most insane commentary I've ever done. I have no idea what happened to me during all this. I went all over the place. I was there, and I was a zip a bop a bippity bop a bippity bop bitty boo. But yeah. I gotta be honest, despite the fact that I think I kind of lost my mind and several IQ points and sanity from this, I had fun. Resurrection of Evil is, again, you might not have known it from this commentary, but Resurrection of Evil is a case of a legitimately good expansion pack. Like, I mean, at absolute worst, the game just reuses assets from what we've already seen before, but I think you can kind of excuse that by the fact that it is, you know, an expansion pack. And while I do think that Bertruger's whole plotline should have been wrapped up in, you know, the main story, possibly included as a second scenario, as I already pointed out before. At the same time, though, you are getting your bang for your buck for this game, because, you know, you get a little bit more trippy stuff, you get a little bit more of hell, you get to, you know, you get a little bit more of a substantial storyline with Dr. McNeil and, you know, the artifact, and, you know, the fact that we play as a Doom guy that does have a little bit more personality to him. I don't know. It's enjoyable, so, again, if you happen to see the Doom 3 BFG edition in your local video shop, assuming they're still around, which they're probably not, well, pick it up, because you not only get Doom 3, but Resurrection of Evil and The Lost Mission, which I will be covering next year, whether on its own or for another Skully Spookfest. I don't know, maybe it could have died. I don't even know what I was saying there, but anyway, I had fun with this, so I guess by the time this part's uploaded, yeah, look forward to more Resident Evil 2 with Claire scenario. I am Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and, well, I hope you're having a good October so far, because the spookiness will continue. Catch you later, dudes and dudettes. Bye-bye.